You are not alone right now. There are people around you, maybe people who love you, people who have known you for years, and yet something sitting in your chest that feels exactly like loneliness. Not the kind that comes from an empty house or a quiet night, the kind that comes from being surrounded by people and still feeling like nobody in that room actually knows who you are. That kind of loneliness is different. It is quieter, it is more confusing, and it is significantly more painful because there is nobody to blame for it. The room is full, the people are real, and you are still completely alone. This is not shyness. This is not social anxiety in the clinical sense. This is something that neuroscience and psychology have only recently begun to understand properly. And what they have found is not what most people expect. Because the loneliness you feel in a crowded room is not about the people around you. It is not about how many friends you have or how loved you are. It is about something happening inside your brain, a specific kind of disconnection that is almost entirely invisible from the outside and almost entirely misunderstood from the inside. The first thing you need to understand is the difference between being alone and feeling alone. They are not the same neurologically. Being alone is a physical state, an absence of other people. Feeling alone is a neurological state, a specific pattern of brain activity that can occur regardless of how many people are physically present. Neuroscientist John Cacioppo spent 30 years studying loneliness and discovered something that fundamentally changed how psychology understands human connection. Loneliness is not caused by isolation. It is caused by perceived disconnection, the felt sense that nobody around you truly sees or understands you. You can be in a stadium of 50,000 people, and your brain can register the same neurological signature as complete isolation. Because your brain is not measuring how many bodies are in the room. It is measuring something far more specific, how known you feel, how seen, how genuinely understood. And when that measurement comes back empty, regardless of the noise and the laughter and the bodies surrounding you, your nervous system responds as if you are completely alone, because to your brain, you are. Not everyone feels this way in crowds. Some people move through social situations feeling genuinely connected, genuinely present, genuinely at ease. And for a long time, psychology assumed this was simply a personality difference, introversion versus extroversion, social skill versus social anxiety. But research tells a more specific and more uncomfortable story. The people who feel most alone in crowded rooms are almost always people who have learned at some point in their lives that showing their real self is not safe. This is not a conscious belief. It is not something they decided. It is something their nervous system learned through repeated experiences of being misunderstood, dismissed, ridiculed, or simply never truly seen by the people who were supposed to see them. Over time, the brain builds a very specific protective strategy. It learns to perform connection rather than experience it, to say the socially correct thing rather than the true thing, to be present on the surface while remaining carefully hidden underneath. And this strategy works in the sense that it protects you from the specific pain of being truly seen and rejected, but it has a cost, and the cost is this. Every time you perform connection instead of experiencing it, every time you say what is expected instead of what is real, you are in the room, but you are not in the room. Your body is there, your social mask is functioning perfectly, but the part of you that actually needs to be known, that part is completely alone, and it knows it. Psychologist Brené Brown spent years researching what she called the vulnerability paradox, the finding that the very thing humans most need in order to feel connected is the thing they are most afraid to offer: genuine self-disclosure, the willingness to be seen as you actually are, rather than as you would like to be perceived. Her research found something startling.
The people who reported the deepest sense of connection in their lives were not the most likable or the most socially skilled. They were the most willing to be imperfect in front of others, the most willing to say something true, even when the true thing was uncomfortable, the most willing to exist as themselves rather than as a curated performance of themselves. And the people who reported the deepest chronic loneliness, even those surrounded by friends, family, relationships, were almost universally people who had never learned to do this, not because they were incapable, but because somewhere along the way, they had learned that the real version of them was too much, too intense, too complicated, too different. And so they built a version that fit and then wondered why fitting in never made them feel less alone. There is one more layer to this, and it is the one that explains why this specific kind of loneliness is so relentless and so resistant to the obvious solutions. When you feel alone in a crowded room, the instinct is to try harder, to engage more, to be more present, more social, more open. But for someone whose nervous system has learned to equate genuine self-exposure with danger, trying harder at connection without addressing the underlying pattern simply means performing harder, and performing harder is exhausting, and the exhaustion creates withdrawal, and the withdrawal creates more isolation, and the isolation confirms the belief that was there all along, that you are somehow fundamentally different from other people, that there is something in you that cannot be reached or understood or truly known, that loneliness is not something that is happening to you, it is something that is you. That belief is not true, but it feels completely true, and feeling completely true is enough to make it self-fulfilling. Here is the honest truth about why you feel most alone in a crowded room. It is not because you are broken. It is not because you are too much or too little or too anything. It is because at some point you made a decision, consciously or not, to protect yourself by hiding the parts of you that felt most vulnerable. And that decision made perfect sense at the time. It kept you safe. It kept you functional. It kept you in the room even when every part of you wanted to leave. But protection is not connection, and you cannot be genuinely known by people who have only ever met your performance. The loneliness you feel in a crowded room is not evidence that you are alone in the world. It is evidence that the real you has not yet been in the room, not fully, not honestly, not without the armor. And until that changes, until you decide that being truly seen is worth the risk of being truly known, you will keep standing in the middle of the noise, wondering why none of it reaches you. The room is not the problem. The distance you keep inside it is. This is what psychology looks like when it is taken seriously. Not advice, not 5 steps to feeling more connected, the actual architecture of why you feel what you feel and what is underneath it. New video every week on Sophics, the science of what is really happening inside. If that's the conversation you want, subscribe. I'll see you next week.